This is the Between Ghosts of El Paso Part 12. We're down a player today, but that's okay. We shall soldier forward without Pamela Pickett. Let's do our recap. So I'm considering the hunt for the Rebel Gold as resolved because per the stinger last time, the gold got stolen. And so you are missing the fundamental part of the mystery that will allow you to actually uh, put the ship at rest. And in any case, I think we're going to let a few days pass and the ship has moved on. So it's no longer a danger to El Paso. So it's just something you had to kind of deal with for a little while. And now we are looking at two active threats, Ghost Be Gone and the Blue Boy. You also have 15 mastermind clues, which means as soon as these two are wrapped up, and assuming that, I mean, I don't know, maybe it will, but that the kid threat doesn't come into play, then we'll be doing the mastermind threat pretty soon. On Ghost Be Gone, we have three different ways of solving the problem with various complexities, and you have 7 clues currently on that one. On the Blue Boy, you have answered the question of whether the Blue Boy is real or is it a hoax, and we've determined that it is real, that is in fact a tulpa, not just a ghost. And the question now on a complexity 4 is how do we get this thing to move on? And so you have no clues for that one, but that's where we're at. So let's take a look at the hunters. The kid has 3 conditions, including the inconvenient marked by Dr. Clarkson, Eyes of Gold, which is interesting now in the context of the Rebel Gold no longer really being a problem anymore, and confused and grief-stricken. Sister Mary Erstwhile is most beloved. I need to find ways of making that more salient in this. It's very salient in the Between. It's a thing that happens a lot in the Between. It comes up a lot, but I might just be kind of missing the tick on Ghosts of El Paso. I'm not sure. And then, although I would say that like you've probably had more attention from the masterminds, weirdly, than probably some of the other characters. So that's interesting. And Slade has Death Touch, always a twisted ankle, always a leg thing, and unnerved right now. And if Pamela Pickett were here, she also has 3 conditions. So conditions are on a few of you pretty stacked out. So we are rolling right into the day phase. Let's find out what everyone's interested in doing. Travis, Sidewinder Kid, thoughts?
I'm definitely up for a vulnerable scene since I have 3 conditions, although one of them is a permanent one. Then I think, yeah, I'm not sure after that, but I feel like I want to follow up on Ghost Be Gone somehow. But we're probably ready to do a theorize there, right? So
yeah, Ghost Be Gone is looking pretty I mean, depending on which approach you want to take, you've got 7 clues, which is a great number for the first 2. If you're trying to convince Dr. Clarkson to work with the committee, you might want to get more clues. But if you are thinking about just freeing the ghost under Dr. Clarkson's control and letting it take its revenge on Dr. Clarkson, or just convincing Dr. Clarkson to leave town, then you probably have enough clues for that. So
I think Travis's vengeful mood at the moment is probably leaning him toward that first solution.
Just letting the ghost do its thing. It's interesting. Yeah, I like it.
So maybe a vulnerable scene that leads into a bit of theorizing for Travis this morning.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sister Mary, what are you thinking today?
I would like to get into the Blue Boy a little bit more, try and figure out, now that we know that it's a tulpa, how to get rid of it.
Yeah. So go back to the house, or
I feel like that's really the only place that this threat is active.
It
Is
kind
at
of
the
is,
house.
yeah. The only other possible lead is we know that Alma Stackpole is the owner of the
tin place.
of the
Yeah.
tin smelter, yeah. And there is an office in town for the tin smelting that kind of handles the business part of it. She's never there, but like presumably because like her money is such a integral part of what's going on here, that might be a place to go as well. So
Yeah, you know what? I'll go look around there, and then
okay.
if nothing turns up, then I'll go visit her.
That's good. Slade?
I'd also love to do a vulnerable move, and then I think it would be good to help Travis out.
Okay, so why don't we do you want to just do the vulnerable scene with Travis? I think that might be, since you both need it. What vice might be in play and what's the scene look like?
Maybe Slade shows up at Travis's new office to continue the tradition with the marshal.
Mm.
A chess game. Also, when we confronted the ship last time, everyone probably noticed that Slade's horse got a little weird. So
Yeah.
so maybe this would be an interesting appearance for Travis if they didn't chat after that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so Travis, are you down with the chess match and the
That sounds good to me.
yeah. Yeah, well, so let's have the scene. If you want to set it up a little bit more, Slade, that'd be great.
I imagine it's early morning and Slade has just arrived outside the office door with the portable chess set folded under an arm and stands outside the door for a moment before thinking to knock.
Mr. Slade, come on in. Members of the
Good morning,
Vigilance
Marshal.
Committee have welcome in his office. You don't need to knock and be so formal.
I consider it a courtesy to announce my presence.
Well, I appreciate that. Can I get you some coffee?
No. Would you be interested in a game, Marshal?
And I think Travis gets a slightly wistful look in his eye for a moment as he remembers seeing his brother play with Mr. Slade. I can't promise to give you as good a run for your money as my brother did, but surely, let's play.
There is enjoyment in the activity regardless of the competition. And he'll start setting it up and kind of slip into the seat a little gingerly with his twisted ankle.
Now, you may need to help me out, and I know different types of these pieces move in different ways and all.
Of course. If you are willing to learn, I shall teach. Your brother was quite the opponent.
My brother was a wily one, all right.
His absence troubles me. I am certain it troubles you as well.
You might say that, Mr. Slade, yes. Why does it trouble you so?
He was my friend, and I was not there when I should have been.
And what would you have done if you was there?
Perhaps I could have prevented what happened, but if not, I would have been there. And that counts.
Maybe it
Consider it
does.
a pledge. I shall do my utmost to be there for you, Marshal Walker.
You think my time's approaching, Mr. Slade?
All of our times are approaching, Marshal. That is what they do.
That feels
You
like
find
a
us-
cut. I like that line a lot. I am curious if you think you've cleared a condition at this point. If not, we can keep going, but I'd be curious. Get your
I
thoughts
think
on that.
unnerved would be as
I'll
he
take
settles
that.
into the
Yeah.
group.
I mean, confused and grief-stricken. I think the fact that we've kind of had some remembrance of
I tend to agree. And also just the passage of time. I think the combination
Yeah.
is probably enough to get that cleared out. Which of the bonuses do you want, Slade?
I think we could use a clue today.
Clue, very good. You get to think of it and decide which threat it's for. Let's cut over to Sister Mary Erstwhile. So the El Paso Tin Smelting and Mining Company office is located on Santa Fe Street, which is one of the busier streets in town. And when you walk in there, you see a few clerks sort of doing paperwork out front. And the person you're probably looking for is Mr. Rushmore, who is the essentially like the manager of the mine at this point, kind of runs all the business part of it. He takes his meetings in a small office toward the back. We do have a paint the scene question here, though, a pretty subtle one and one that I like a lot. I wrote it and I was really happy with it, which is looking around, everyone. How do we know the tin mine is intertwined with the local economy?
I think there's photographs all around the office and like the lobby areas, the areas that people from the town would go visit, not the workers, where it shows Mr. Rushmore and Mrs. Stackpole, doing things like cutting ribbons on buildings and just a whole bunch of pictures like that, like shaking hands with the marshal, things like that all around.
there are a couple of different vendors that have set up outside of the office, and they're selling kind of burritos and other types of food to the miners that are passing by on their way to and from work. So they have quite an array of dining options.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
From-
I like it. Yeah.
As well as the photos, I think there are little notes framed on the wall of thanks for contributing to various projects and needs around town.
So you're there. I think one of the clerks will look up and they probably know you. They'll say, "Oh, Sister Mary, how can I help you?"
Sister Mary's got sort of like a distasteful look on her face. This is, this weird show of money and capitalism when really the thing that should be driving this town is faith. But sure, this is fine. And she nods at the clerk. Hello, I need to see Mr. Rushmore.
Mr. Rushmore overhears this and he kind of comes out. He is, he's the day-to-day manager of the tin smelting and mining company. He has a neat mustache, a well-tailored gray suit. He wears a monocle, which is kind of one of his stranger affectations. And he comes out with you. He's like middle-aged and says, "Oh, hello, Sister Mary. Are you here looking for investment opportunities? Want to buy some shares in the mining company?"
Do I have to remind you that I'm a woman of faith?
Well, I go to church every Sunday myself, and yet I still understand the, how shall we say, the healing power of the American dollar, Sister Mary.
Well, you can have your false idols. I need to speak to you about Mrs. Stackpole.
Oh, well, why don't you come back here then? And he says, "One of my favorite topics, Mrs. Stackpole." And he takes you into his little office and he sits down and offers you a seat and says, "So, what is this all about?"
Well, I'm sure you're aware that Mrs. Stackpole has been preoccupied lately with certain ongoings out at her land, her household. What do you know of this? If you care to break your focus on money for a moment.
Go ahead and make the information move with, I guess, presence.
Wow, first roll on my new dice, and it's the snake eyes.
Ah, very
That brings me
kind.
to a 5.
Very kind indeed. Oh gosh, I wasn't ready for a miss on something like this so quick. Let me think what would happen here.
These dice are going over here.
Oh, I think basically just that I think what happens is the situation just kind of gets interrupted before you can actually like get any kind of useful information or indeed continue with this line of inquiry. Mrs. Stackpole comes into the office, and I think people are a little surprised. And Horace Rushmore looks over your shoulder. She's come in because she's brought her Russian wolfhound Gainsborough with her, and those are big dogs, right? And she's having a hard time controlling him. And she also never comes into the office. And he says, "Oh my goodness, speak of the devil, and she does appear." You'll have to excuse me for a moment, Sister Mary. And he says, "Miss Stackpole," and she, she's we haven't really met her yet. She's wearing kind of a simple black dress, very tasteful jewelry. She's a soft and round woman. Most days she has a very permanent kind of misty-eyed look, but today she's having a lot of trouble with Gainsborough. And you can hear them talking, and she's saying, "I just can't deal with him anymore, Horace. I just can't. He has unfriendly reactions to my new guest, and well, I can't be a bad host. And as much as I love my poor deceased husband's dog, I I can't handle this disruption anymore. And I think it would be best if he just sort of become the office dog. What do you think of that?" And Rushmore's kind of dealing with her, and he comes back to you momentarily after, while a clerk is helping her get situated. And he says, "Sister Mary, my job is very simple. I make sure the trains run on time, so to speak. My only concern in this entire world is that the mine turns a profit, a very trifling matter, as you might imagine, especially to Mrs. Stackpole. She doesn't care where the money comes from, so long as it keeps her swimming in Blue Boy figurines and pillows and needlework and other crap, collectibles. I know nothing about what goes on at her place, and I certainly don't have time to get involved with Vigilance Committee business. I have an enormous dog to cope with, in addition to all my other responsibilities now. I wish you a good day."
Mr. Rushmore, it seems to me that an office is not an appropriate place
Gainsborough
to keep a
comes
dog
in.
besides.
Gainsborough has now come into his office and is now heaved itself on top of you, and is like licking your face, and he just sort of like does his hands like this, and he says, "I just do the job."
I look down at Gainsborough and very sternly say, "Sit,"
Gainsborough does
in
not
my
sit. No.
most sisterly voice.
Horace gets up and attempts to wrestle Gainsborough under control with and is like, "Good day, Sister Mary."
And I imagine he stays in his office. That's a dismissal of me. Is Mrs. Stackpole still out there, or is she?
She's 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 talking to one of the clerks presently and looking at like a bare patch of wall. And she says, I think this would be a lovely place for a painting. I have a few extra prints of the blue boy. I could bring one over and, that kind of thing. So
Yeah. I'm gonna go up to Mrs. Stackpole. Pardon
she
me,
said,
Mrs. Stackpole.
oh, hello, Sister Mary. What
I
are you doing here?
Well, I have business all over town. I am responsible for the spiritual growth of the entirety of El Paso, including your mine.
Well, perhaps you could spend some time with my late husband's dog. I think the creature is filled with the devil.
I was just about to say the same thing. Perhaps I could take this dog off of your hands.
Well, it is, of course, a memento of Melvin, and so I would want to be assured that the dog would get the very best of care.
Are you suggesting that I wouldn't care for this dog appropriately?
Well, Sister Mary, I mean, everyone in town knows that you are not exactly you don't have the most delicate sensibilities when it comes to flesh and blood creatures. You're more of an attendant of the spirit. I'm not sure
So,
dogs even have souls.
they certainly do not. The very idea is blasphemous.
Right, so then what do you intend to do with it?
The Vigilance Committee could be...
Horace
we
says,
could
I think
find
it's a wonderful idea. And he shoves Gainsborough's leash into your hand. And I think you have a Russian wolfhound now.
Yeah, we're all set. All set.
No closer to figuring out what's going on with the blue boy.
But I have a dog.
You have a dog.
Hooray.
There's a kind of a lowercase c clue, or at least interesting context of the fact that the dog is clearly bothered by the blue boy, right? So, yeah. But you've already determined that the blue boy is not a hoax, so maybe I don't know how helpful that is. Let's cut back over to the clue. Slade, what'd you stumble on?
I was thinking that people involved in the tin mine are beginning to dress in blue and don't seem to notice it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, intriguing. Did you write that down?
I have not.
Okay, go ahead and note that. And we can go ahead and pick up with Travis and Slade doing Ghost Be Gone business. So Travis, what's going on?
Mr. Slade, I feel the time has come for a confrontation with Dr. Clarkson. I would like that man to be removed from El Paso by one means or another. What do you think? What do you think to that proposal?
I think Slade will look out the window for a moment or off into the distance and then start slowly peeling off a glove and say, I do believe we are in agreement.
Very well, then.
You'll just go kill him. What's going on here?
What do you make of the matter, Mr. Slade?
A dangerous fraud, willfully endangering the lives of innocents. It cannot stand.
So I wonder what is to be done. Do we convince him to leave?
He will only bring his danger elsewhere. But I will defer to your decision, Marshal.
Or do we bring him into the fold, as it were?
A member of the Vigilance Committee.
Perhaps an associate more than a member, but yes, perhaps we can make use of the man.
Having him under our thumb would be an acceptable solution.
What is that saying? Keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies closer. Is that how it goes?
I don't know. The Godfather has been put out yet.
I was not aware that's where it came from.
I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong about that. I'm fairly certain it's from the Godfather.
That sounds unwise, Marshall, but if you insist.
You have a more permanent solution in mind, Mr. Slade?
There is a permanent solution. It is at our disposal.
You and I are of one mind, it seems.
Sounds like we're doing answer a question here. It sounds like as a group, you need to determine which of these approaches you want to take. The danger of the first one, it's the simplest one complexity wise, but the sort of implied danger from the resolution is that even if the ghost takes its revenge on Dr. Clarkson, the ghost itself might be a problem after that. And so that's just something to be mindful of. Yeah, so what do we think?
Well, we could roll for the 8 complexity with a -1, which isn't the worst, but we wouldn't want to have Sister Mary put on a mask for it.
That's
We
the
really
thing.
don't.
That's
Yeah,
true,
you can't
yeah.
really
So
afford
maybe
that. Yeah.
Well,
maybe we should go for that middle one then. Just
although Mads was kind of gunning for the complexity 8, I believe.
Yeah, that was what I got the impression of, is that Pamela Pickett. Well, that was the case until, I don't know, the last thing we saw was Dr. Clarkson trying to kill her. So maybe,
Yeah.
or at least the lover. So Pamela Pickett might have different thoughts now. Who knows? But Pamela Pickett's not here, so
That's true.
to
Yeah.
advocate for Pamela Pickett's position, regrettably.
Could I retcon my my blue boy clue into a ghost begone?
Sure, I don't mind. Yeah.
Perhaps what we found instead is do we know where Dr. Clarkson said he was from?
We know he was recently in El Paso del Norte because the Rurales knew about him.
Right. A newspaper article from El Paso del Norte with details of kind of petty theft in town.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Okay, well, that puts you at 8 clues then, which would be a flat roll. Still a little dangerous, but not as underwater as it would have been. There's a big difference between a -1 and 0. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could, if we could establish those clues for the middle solution, the complexity 6 one, we'd have a +2, right?
Yeah.
If we could tie them in.
I think we should take a look at the clues first, maybe see if any of them fit well with either of the questions.
Why don't we go and take our first break then? Let's just take like a 10-minute break and we'll come back. That'll give you time to look at the clues and kind of come up with some theories. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had some time to discuss, although I wasn't here for the discussions. I assume you all were confabulating without me. What do we think as far as Ghost Beacon goes?
I missed the updates toward the end of the discussion there.
We're still sort of waffling about on the different options. Rob brought up some really good ideas on the blackmail aspect, the different ways that we could blackmail him.
Right. Yeah.
Should we want to go that way? I really like Ben's theory. Ben has a fun theory, which could tie into the blackmail pretty easily.
Well, let's hear it, Ben. What is it?
Basically, the whole Ghosts Beyond thing is a cover and distraction for the fact that doctor's name, who is escaping me right now?
Clarkson.
Clarkson, thank you. He is using ghosts, kind of training and collecting ghosts to commit robberies.
Oh, interesting. Oh, huh.
Ghost crimes.
Ghost crimes. Okay, interesting. So I'd love to hear how the clues fit into that. It's an interesting theory.
Well, the empty bottle and the red onion skin to make the dye are just kind of artifacts of the creation of the
stuff. Yeah.
of the stuff. The and Harry Etheridge found dead is just proof that it doesn't do what it's meant to do.
Sure.
Again, with the other label, this is all just a con, but the affair with Daisy Pryor is proof that he is working something with people in town, getting some additional support. The silvery smudges on fingertips and palms are parts where ghosts have attempted to maybe try and steal a ring or a watch, and they've left a little bit of residue.
Oh, interesting. Oh, intriguing.
The
Okay.
oxidized copper cage with runes on the bars is where he plans on storing the ghosts while converting them into spectral thieves. And the newspaper article about the petty theft is his last attempt at this in El Paso del Norte.
Okay. It's a good theory. It is interesting story-wise. I think it would be interesting to so it seems like maybe the Daisy Pryor thing is like, because we did see that a ghost did kill Daisy Pryor's husband, right? Like that did happen. We narrated that. But it's kind of an interesting idea that maybe the ghost was working with Daisy and Dr. Clarkson. So it kind of just shows that like they had like a scheme going on. I think
we did determine that as well in our narrative. Something that Daisy had said to, I think, to Pamela was that she had a hand in her husband's death somehow.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's pretty. Yeah. That. Okay. So it kind of shows that like they're capable of working with ghosts, which is interesting. The silvery smudges on fingertips and palms. I don't remember what was the context of that clue. Does anyone remember how that one came up?
I
don't either. Yeah.
But
I like the idea. We can say now though that maybe that's what's going on. Maybe like
maybe it's the oxidized copper cage as a testing cage to see, you know, because ghosts typically aren't able to, you know, without a lot of effort, I guess, pick things up, grab things, steal things. Maybe
right.
it's something, the runes on the bars specifically is something not just to help keep the ghosts trapped, but allow for passage and movement and interaction with the physical plane.
Oh, that's intriguing. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's really interesting. Oh, interesting. And so we're saying then that the ghost that he puts on his show, in this theory, the ghost is not actually being held against its will. It's like working with Dr. Clarkson. I mean, essentially, is that fair? Or are these ghosts that are committing these petty thefts, are they like doing this of their own accord, or
maybe they're kind of like brainwashed?
Okay.
Yeah, or you know, there's that cage he has, the oxidized cage that he's trapping them in, and you know they're doing it against their will somehow.
Under duress.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like he's promising to free them or let them pass on.
Yeah, I like the idea that ghosts are sort of a victim in this, because they're usually something we go after, right? So I think that's an interesting spin.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also it's got vibes. It's got Daisy Man vibes, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows that like this is a thing that ghosts can do, right?
Yeah.
I like and it's an interesting idea that like Dr. Clarkson might be using it as a front.
Maybe there's a reason why Dr. Clarkson showed up after the Daisy Man left.
He could also be using the who buys the most Ghost Begone. They make good targets. He knows they have lots of cash.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's really
where he finds the ghosts, right?
Where I think it just could be a matter of like it's almost like, you know,
identifying the marks.
Yeah, I mean, it could be both,
right.
because the marks will have ghosts that he could maybe capture.
Yeah. They're buying Ghost Be Gone because they think they're haunted, and they might be, which means there's ghosts there. And they're buying lots of it, which means they have money.
Right. Yeah. It's a really interesting theory. I like it in the story. I'm still like not entirely convinced of the clues. Like, okay, so I think the Dr. Clarkson having an affair with Daisy Pryor just shows the potential of working with ghosts. That feels like a really key part of this. Like, he has clearly demonstrated the ability to like work with ghosts to do things, right? To like convince ghosts to do things. And so this ghost killed Daisy Pryor's husband at their behest. Um, and the newspaper report also very, very much like, you know, kind of like indicating that this is probably like, you know, his next stop, that he got chased out of there because, you know, from the petty thefts. I think it's the cage and the silvery smudges that we need to add a little extra context to, or at least figure out precisely how it connects up to this idea of like the ghosts being used to steal things. Because the oxidized copper cage, we already know he has a ghost captured because he uses it in his act. I'm not sure how that speaks to the additional like idea of the captured ghosts are used to commit crimes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe no, please go.
Oh, I was going to say maybe his run of it in El Paso del Norte was sort of the first go, and he's now in El Paso trying to pull the same trick, but because of the Wounded Knight, things aren't working quite the same way.
Oh, I kind of like that. Like maybe he I mean, it could just be that was his prior scheme, and now he's here trying to do another scheme. I mean, even if he's not like actively doing like the petty theft scheme, there's plenty of evidence. There's plenty of evidence that he's working with ghosts, right? Which might be enough to get him to run him off, right? Because the people might be like pissed about that. They would be pissed about that. So I guess just the silver smudges and fingertips and palms. That's the one that's really sticking with me.
So with the Daisy Man, we had. I know I might be thinking of a different. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different campaign. One of the clues that I had elsewhere was a glowing substance found where the Daisy Man left. Maybe this is like a kind of it's an attempt to make more Daisy Men, kind of, from someone who's kind of reverse engineering the process.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe they knew each other, Dr. Clarkson and the Daisy Man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're kind of like spiritual characters, I feel like. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so all right. So it sounds like what the theory might be. It's not so much that like right now in El Paso he is like doing this like petty theft scam. It's more just that like you have evidence that he's working with ghosts, right? Which is enough to get people to turn on him, right? Because they think he's like, you know, I mean, that might be it. Straightforwardly might be it. Like, just look, he's clearly working with ghosts, and we know you're working with ghosts. We have all this evidence you're working with ghosts, and so.
And the Ghost Be Gone itself is fake,
plainly fake. Yeah. So yeah,
and like he knew that, and he sent everybody off to the death boat anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is just a straight up like just like presenting him with evidence of his charlatanism and saying, "Get the hell out of here." Right. I think, you know, we might be overthinking it beyond that. I like it. You've got a +2. Seems pretty straightforward. Who wants to roll it?
Ben, do you want to roll it?
Ben's theory.
I'd be happy. Do we want to try for the convincing to join us instead?
No, I
It'd
hate
be a
that
flat
guy.
roll. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So +2.
Mm.
We can if we want. I just okay.
It's an 8.
Okay. That means it will work. It'll just be kind of a, you know, he'll fight you, he'll resist in some way, but otherwise it's correct. I mean, yeah, you just have lots of evidence of his charlatanism, essentially, is what it kind of boils down to. You can deal with him in the night phase. We have a little bit more time for day phase stuff if we want to work on Blue Boy a little bit. Who has a thought? Or if you want to do another vulnerable move scene or something like that.
I would like to take Gainsborough for a walk
Okay, to where?
and see where he leads me.
Okay.
Trying to see if he has this weird response to the blue boy. Maybe he can help me sniff out a clue.
Okay. Oh, I like that. That's really good. Okay, we'll do that. And then Slade and Travis. Slade, what do you want to do?
If we're not confronting Clarkson, he might be curious about this new presence in town and go with Sister Mary.
And Travis?
Yeah, if we're saving the confrontation for the night phase,
You have to. It's a rule.
yeah, right. I almost feel like Travis maybe wants to go and lean on Daisy Pryor a little bit and expose her complicity in Clarkson's crimes.
Did she not
Might
get
give
killed
us-
last time?
Oh, I'm mixing her up with someone else, aren't I?
Is she?
I thought Pamela shot her.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was-
Yes, you're
yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm
pretty
totally
sure
mixing
Pamela
her
shot
up.
her. Yeah.
That was awesome.
I'm completely
Yeah,
mixing her
and
up.
Clarkson was
mixing her up
like,
with someone else.
"Oh, you got her," like trying to pretend like he wasn't in on it, right?
Yeah. God, I hate Clarkson.
He just like totally, like, yeah, emotionally threw her under the bus straight away. Okay, well, so yeah,
I think I'll accompany the two of them on a patrol with this dog.
the Russian wolfhound. Okay. I mean, you could. Or do you want to go out to the house, or do you want to like just go around town? Or, I mean, especially if we think that the creature is not a hoax, there's probably not any like conspiracy to sniff out, right? I mean, he's probably just at the house. So
Yeah, I feel like we'll have to walk up to the house.
yeah, you can do that. Especially because Alma is in town right now doing probably running errands and things. So
Could
you'll
be
only
under
have
the
to deal with
pretense of
servants.
of getting food for the dog or
Oh yeah, that's
whatever.
pretty good. Yeah. I think are you going to try to make yourself like hidden as you look around the house, or are you going to just go right up and announce your presence?
Maybe. Go ahead.
Oh, so I think I'll go straight up because Mrs. Stackpole knows that I have this dog now.
Yeah.
I am not sure. I feel like it might be useful to have some people kind of sneaking around because I'm more of a distraction.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe Slade and Travis can be doing that. I think Wellington, the butler, comes to meet you and he says, "Ah, Sister Mary. Ah, and you have Gainsborough. Did he run off or something?"
It seems that your mistress has decided she's had enough of this dog and it is now under the protection of the Vigilance Committee.
Indeed, the dog does not want to go in the house. It will not walk through the threshold of the door.
I believe that I need to speak to you about what sort of dietary restrictions or
He says-
preferences the dog has.
He says, it is a dog.
Yes, I recognize that, Mr.
Dogs
Wellington.
aren't particularly choosy about what they eat, Sister Mary. Have you ever had a dog?
I don't think that's neither here nor there.
Well, this particular dog has grown very partial to table food because that is what Mrs. Stackpole thinks is the finest thing. For a while, Gainsborough here was her singular obsession, and that obsession waned upon the arrival of our new guest. But prior to that, I would say that the dog was quite spoiled and enjoys choice cuts of meat, fresh water, and occasional dairy-based treats.
Steve, was that so hard?
So
Now,
what
could you possibly show me where the dog sleeps so I can get an idea of where it is comfortable?
He says, this is quite a lot of inquiry with regards to this dog.
If you want the dog to be properly taken care of outside of your home, then I would expect you to be able to show me these things.
He says, yes. Well, it looks like he's not going to come in, so you come in. I'll secure his leash here. And he kind of ties him up to a little, post or something outside.
Sister Mary turns to Gainsborough and says, sit.
Does not sit. Wellington gets inside the foyer and he says, are you making any progress on the Blue Boy matter, Sister Mary?
Unfortunately, that is need to know Vigilance Committee details. I can't really get into it. I'm sure you understand.
I am the one who originally brought this trouble to the Vigilance Committee's attention. Surely I am entitled to certain sorts of intelligence that you might have gathered.
Absolutely. And when you need to know, we'll let you know.
Very well, very well. Everyone has their little petty tyrannies. I understand that well enough.
Are you suggesting that I'm abusing my authority here?
No, I'm just suggesting that you rather enjoy the access that your position on the Vigilance Committee gives you to the people of El Paso, Sister Mary.
I hope you understand that I am the sole figure of spiritual responsibility in this entire town. Whatever
Yes.
access I may be getting from my membership in the Vigilance Committee is nothing compared to that responsibility.
Meanwhile, Wellington's being kept well distracted, so Slade and Travis, what are you doing?
Going through the back.
Checking the grounds, or are you actually going into the house through the rear?
I think if given the opportunity, Slade's going to try and check out the Blue Boys' room.
Oh, yeah.
See if he's home.
Indeed.
I think Travis will do a bit of poking around the grounds while he's doing that.
Why don't we start with that part, Travis? Go ahead and do the information move with reason.
Seven.
We'll come back to that. Slade, getting up to the Blue Boys' room is no trouble. The house is, Wellington's distracted, and Alma and her maid, Jenny, are out. And Mrs. Thickett's probably the only person you probably have to get past. But even that's not too much trouble, because Mrs. Thickett can be distracted pretty easily with discussions of what Gainsborough likes to eat and things like that. And so you get up into the Blue Boys' room, and it's as we described last time. It is like a little sort of like, Louis XIV little bedroom in miniature, right? With all these like very expensive, fancy things. No sign of the Blue Boy at first, but what do you do once you get up there?
I want to check the bed, see if there's. I mean, children like to hide things maybe under the bed or hide under the bed themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Do go ahead and do the information move with, I think, composure. Just do this quietly so no one hears you.
That is 9.
Meanwhile, Sister Mary, Irma Thickett is kind of telling you different things about the dog, and Wellington is there, and he's kind of just giving you side eye because he feels like there's something you're not telling him. And it's all fine. And when it's all said and done, Wellington says, well, now that you've come all the way out here to talk about the dietary and living needs of that animal outside, is there anything else we can do for you, Sister Mary?
I actually have a few questions for you and Mrs. Thicket. I wonder if there have been any experiences since the Blue Boy has appeared in your lives where you found yourselves losing time, pieces of memory, doing things you don't expect yourself to do, that sort of thing. How has, aside from the extra work, how has the Blue Boy's appearance affected you?
And they kind of look at each other a little bit. And Mrs. Thicket, I don't need a roll. She'll just tell you. She says, well, the wee lad likes to play tricks, let's say.
Pranks.
Yes, and dangerous ones at that. And Wellington says, be careful, Irma. If you value your position. And she says, and there's something she clearly doesn't want to like tell you. You're gonna have to get her to open up.
Might I remind you that as a member of the Vigilance Committee, I've seen many dangerous things happen to people when ghosts and other such things are about. And if there is some sort of ghostly pranking happening here, more than your job is at stake.
Make the information move with presence.
9.
Irma Thicket says, we have to say something, Mr. Wellington. And Wellington just sort of like sighs and excuses himself. Irma Thicket says, well, you should know. This is not the first time the Blue Boy has been here. He was here before, though he was not like he is now. This was before Mrs. Stackpole became obsessed with the Blue Boy. This was back when Mr. Stackpole was alive. The boy showed up on the doorstep needing help, and they took him in. This was during the last Wounded Night. And, well, that boy got rather jealous of Mr. Stackpole. And he claims it was just a prank gone too far. But Mr. Stackpole died when he was accidentally pushed down the stairs. Everything else you've heard is not true. It's just a cover-up.
It's quite the prank.
And then he shows up again. Mrs. Stackpole seems to have forgotten entirely his previous incarnation. This
Mrs.
creature plays her like an instrument. And he's very dangerous.
Mrs. Thicket, I appreciate your honesty. It will be very helpful towards our investigation. Perhaps you recall this last time the Blue Boy was here. Do you recall when he left or how?
And at this point, what was your die roll, Slade?
9.
You get your clue. That was your clue, by the way. Your previous clue was basically that this creature has appeared in other forms before and may have been responsible for Melvin Stackpole's death. For clue. Let me take a look at what you've already got. Okay. I think you're looking under the bed, you said, right?
Yes.
And you're looking under the bed and you see two things. The first thing you see is how do I want to describe this? A box of documents under the bed. A strange thing for a creature like this to have. But one of the documents is clearly the deed to Alma's home, as well as ownership documents related to the mine company. The second thing you see is the blue boy. Underneath the bed, eyes aglow, and he holds up his finger and he's pointing up. And that's when you see that the chandelier in the room is spinning, hanging by a thread, ready to snap and fall. And the sound of it falling is what will disrupt your conversation with Irma Thicket, Sister Mary, when you hear the noise. But Slade, the chandelier is about to fall on you. What do you do?
Going to attempt to dive out of the way.
Indeed. This is the day move with vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'll break my leg again. Maybe break an arm this time.
Yeah, add some limbs to the mix. Go ahead and roll vitality.
3.
Yeah. Sister Mary, you hear the crash. Slade, you'll probably hear it too. And you'll hear Slade cry out. Slade, you are pinned underneath the chandelier. Your arm twisted up in a funny way. And the blue boy crawls out from under the bed. And he's sort of just like looming over you. And he kind of smiles. And he says, "How would you like me to kill you?"
Slowly.
And he kind of looks down at you and he says, "I think that can be arranged." And he has in his hands like a blue ribbon. Or he undoes like a blue ribbon in his clothing. And he pulls it around your neck. And he puts all of his weight, as much as he can, behind it to try to throttle you out. He doesn't seem to have any indication of what you are. Take the condition, busted arm, to go with your twisted ankle. And the blue boy he's like put his knee behind your neck. He's like, because he's not very big. So he's using all of his leverage that he can get to like try to choke you out. Meanwhile, Travis, what was your die roll? You got the mid result too, right?
I got a 7, yeah.
Yeah. You get oh, interesting. While you're out there, you can hear strange sounds coming from, there's a little kind of a woodsy part of the countryside near the house. You can hear kind of like strange moaning coming from that direction. That's your clue. The complication is that I think you see from the window, you see what happens to Slade when the chandelier falls, and you just see him fall out of the frame of your vision in the window. You just have to react. What do you do?
I think giving a glance toward this moaning that Travis would have gone investigate. Otherwise, he rushes back toward the house to try and see if Slade is in need of assistance.
Yeah, you can burst in, you can go upstairs, you can get to the room. And when you burst in, the blue boy kind of like stands up from what he was doing. And he says, "Oh, thank goodness. A hero has arrived. Please hurry. This man, the chandelier, dreadful thing, dreadful old monstrosity, fell and crushed him. Please, quickly."
I think Travis is immediately suspicious and will draw his weapon and level it at the blue boy.
He's like, "Oh my goodness. What scurrilous behavior, sir. Why would you do such a thing?"
Now let's just figure out exactly what's going on here until I hear from Mr. Slade that you are to be trusted. Then you best just stand still.
Slade, what are you doing right now?
Slade will kind of look clearly in pain and say, the creature attempted to dispatch me with that ribbon.
This here creature, Mr. Slade?
I'm quite certain I don't know what you're talking about. I resent being called a creature.
Slade will just ignore the boy entirely and say, "Yes. Be so kind as to fire, Marshal."
The marshal will do so.
You shoot him. He goes, the force of the bullet sends him flying back, slams up against the wall, and he's pressed up against the wall and he's looking down at the wound. We'll say you shot him in the chest. And he looks up at you, blood pumping out of the wound. And he says, "You have shot me in the heart. But that doesn't mean that the love that resides there for Mrs. Stackpole will die. No, it will live on." And he seemingly dies.
You
Wellington.
need of
Irma
some
Thicket.
assistance there, Mr. Slade.
Yes.
Sister Mary, I assume you're rushing up with Wellington and the others to see what's going on. You all see the scene.
I think we
Wellington.
probably come in right when the blue boy has his last words, just to make it extra dramatic.
And Wellington says, I was led to believe that the Vigilance Committee handled these matters more delicately.
Slade will just kind of look at the chandelier and then back at Wellington.
Yes, well, let's get this place cleaned up. And that feels like the end of the day phase.
Yeah.
But the threat's not resolved. It can't be resolved yet. So, but you have clues. And yeah. Let's go to the dawn, or the dusk, rather. Okay. Let's talk about El Paso. I don't think we have any playbook moves that need to be resolved right now, do we? So let's go ahead and do a new question about the town during the Wounded Night. Check the ones that we've already done. Okay. Have we done Pets of the Wounded Night?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It feels like an appropriate time to do that one.
Yeah.
The Pets of the Wounded Night. Families refuse to take on new pets found during the Wounded Night, and even well-established relationships with cats and dogs are to be second-guessed on these strange nights. Let me clip this for you, too. So you have it. Okay. I'll start over. Families refuse to take on new pets during the Wounded Night, and even well-established relationships with cats and dogs are to be second-guessed on these strange nights. What unsettling behaviors do pets get up to during the Wounded Night that owners do not appreciate?
I think the dogs and cats of El Paso can clearly see the movements of spectral entities that perhaps haven't revealed themselves to people. So it is just incessant yowling or seeking attention from these presences.
Cats you know how cats can bring in rodents and whatnot as gifts for their owners. They're doing that, but it's small little body parts. It's a finger or a toe or a nose or an ear. And dogs keep digging holes in different gardens and burying human bones in them, a skull or a femur. It's where are they getting them? Nobody really knows.
Cats have been known to congregate during the night in the graveyard of El Paso, stalking along the wall around it, climbing up on top of the graves, almost as if they are conferring or congregating in some way together to some unknown purpose.
So what's everyone doing tonight? Slade?
Slade will be confronting Dr. Clarkson.
Yep.
All right.
Travis too.
Sister Mary, are you going to confront Dr. Clarkson? They might have it under control. If you...
I feel like you guys got that. I'm going back out to the Stackpole's house with Gainsborough at night.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that sounds good. I love it. Okay, good. Do we have any Janus masks that needs to be done? No. In that case, let's do the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be... What am I gonna do? Oh, let's do the barkeep. It's page 1, or it's cell 101 if you want to follow along. The saloon is hopping more than an 8-legged jackrabbit. No one has time or a care in their head to learn the name of the one pouring drinks. A woman dressed in an ill-fitting men's suit serves the customers about as fast as they can order. I'll do prompt 1. And Rob, you can do prompt 2. Amanda, prompt 3. And Ben, prompt 4. Let's take 5. Barkeep! A surly customer wants another. The bartender pours another fifth of whiskey into the glass, making another mental tabulation. What trick does she do to keep each order straight and each amount owed calculated? The trick is a song. She sings a song about the patrons and how much they're drinking. So it'll be something like, Robert such and such has had, 3 whiskeys, something, kind of like a, put one down, pass it around kind of thing, kind of song, connecting up the people with like the amount of whiskey. But the key though is as she's kind of singing the song out loud, it becomes kind of a thing in the bar. It encourages people to drink more because they want to be higher up on the list of like, they don't want to be outdone, so they, want to get more booze in them. So that's the trick. Sister Mary, I assume you're going out with Gainsborough to the, just walking out there.
Yeah, taking him out for a walk.
Yeah. A carriage pulls up by you, and there's a man in the carriage, and he says, it looks like we might be going in the same direction. Can I offer you a ride?
What's Gainsborough's reaction to this carriage and this man?
Gainsborough looks hesitant.
What does the carriage look like?
It seems like the kind of typical, like kind of Wells Fargo carriage, like a carriage you might hire to go on a long journey.
Nighttime on the roads of El Paso is not a great time to be getting into the carriage of strange men, good sir.
He says, but I'm not strange. My name is Jonathan. See, now we know each other.
Do I have any confessions for this guy?
No.
No?
He says, that's a very handsome animal you have there.
Yes, unfortunately has rabies.
Oh, my. Well, you'll want to be careful then. I heard that's a terrible affliction to be afflicted with.
Well, I am blessed with the light of God, you see, and so I am not concerned for myself, for others, of course. You said your name is Jonathan.
Yes.
I don't believe we've met.
We have not. Well, I'm new, actually, to town.
Moving to El Paso during the Wounded Night is, interesting.
What is the Wounded Knight?
Well, you can't have been here very long if you haven't heard about any of that.
No. Does it have something to do with the strange moon, I wonder?
Well, yes, indeed. It has everything to do with the strange moon. Mr.
Just Jonathan.
Mr. Jonathan. And I think she's still walking.
Mm.
I imagine he's probably like very slowly.
Yeah. I mean, he has a
Following.
driver, but they're going at a trot,
And Mr. Jonathan, what do you do here in El Paso?
Well, right now I'm actually I'm on my way to meet with a person who I've been corresponding with for some time.
May I ask who? I know basically everybody in this town. I am the spiritual leader, so to speak.
Yes, Mrs. Alma Stackpole. Do you know her?
In fact, I do. Now, what sort of correspondence have you been having with Mrs. Stackpole? Are you opening up some new investments with her?
He blushes and he says, well, they are the sort of correspondence that is perhaps it would be ungentlemanly to talk about out loud.
My dear sir, I have heard many a confession from many a people. There is very little you can say to shock me. I assure you.
Well, and I think at this point he kind of the carriage has stopped, at this point on the road. He says, well, I love her, you see.
This is such a bad idea, but I'm going to get in the carriage.
He says,
With the
and
dog.
the dog is acting funny, and he says, I'm sure my man would be happy to take care of the dog up front.
Oh, you see, but if the dog bites somebody, then I would feel really quite guilty. I'd rather have him with me. We're very close now. We've developed a bond.
Well,
And I
very
think
well.
they're sitting like a few, like a foot apart from each other, her
Yeah.
and the dog.
Right, yeah. That's good. Let's cut back over to Travis and Slade. So you can find Dr. Clarkson easily enough. He's always, getting his wagon set up around this time of night before he gets ready to do his little show. What are you both doing?
I think Slade will have made himself a makeshift sling with probably what used to be a tablecloth, and is waiting for Travis at the sheriff's office, marshal's office.
And I think from there we march briskly around to Dr. Clarkson's wagon and accost him as he's setting up.
He looks up and he says, kind of puts his top hat on. The Vigilance Committee. Come here to get some pointers from a real expert in spectral elimination.
It's interesting you should say that, Mr. Clarkson, but I fear we must confront you about a few matters that have come to our attention.
That feels like a good cut. Rob, barkeep. A dance hall girl is keeping an entire table occupied and supplied with beer. The bartender fills glasses fast and hands them to the dance hall girl with a wink. How does the dance hall girl respond to the wink? Is there something going on between them, or is this strictly business?
I think that dance hall girl responds to the wink with a kind of gentle touch of the hand as she takes the glasses one by one. She kind of takes them with both hands and just lingers for a moment as the glasses passed. And I think, there is a relationship of sorts between them. The dance hall girl appreciates that the barkeep is protective of her, and when customers become too rowdy or too inappropriate, she can be relied on to take care of the girls that work there, and her attention is much preferred to the uncouth customers of the bar.
This fellow, Jonathan, he is he's very beautiful. He has very smooth, luminous skin. He smells nice. He's wearing a dusty gray suit with a kind of sort of cornflower blue waistcoat and cravat. And he says, well, I know it must seem awfully crazy to come all the way here, sight unseen, just based off some letters. But, well, I was taught to always follow my heart, you see. And my heart says I should be in El Paso, seeking out the one I love. How do you feel about matters of the heart, matters of love?
I have a question about this guy. How old does he look?
Mid-20s, late 20s.
So a fair bit younger than Mrs. Stackpole, or
Yeah, significantly younger than Mrs. Stackpole, yeah.
All
Like,
right.
not a lot, but like 10 years or so.
Okay, that's a pretty big
Pretty big amount, yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Well, I prefer matters of the spirit to matters of the heart. I have a relationship with God, you see, as I hope that you do too, especially if you're going to see Mrs. Stackpole.
Well, yes. I of course go to church every Sunday, and I consider myself a man of faith. I can tell by looking at you that you are a woman of faith. You have a certain interior strength that radiates from within.
Yes, I do get that a lot. I do find myself curious, though. Where did you say you're from?
Oh, well, I'm also doing sort of a grand tour of the United States, but I am originally from London.
Nasty city.
Well, it is the center of the world. And when you are the center of the world, I suppose you take on all of the world's wonders and its ills in one place. I find it fascinating myself. I should mention I don't live in London. My family, we have a little home in the countryside.
Ah, that sounds much nicer. I do understand your reference to the center of the world, which of course is supposedly London, but we all know it is the birthplace of our Savior. However, coming all the way to El Paso from London for Mrs. Stackpole and her letters,
Well,
I'm
by way
certain
of New
she.
York and Philadelphia and Charleston and other places along the way.
I do
Although I
believe.
certainly feel like this is the most rough and ready portion of my journey.
Do you feel like you are unsuited to this area?
Well, I am probably not the sort of hard-living cur that can be found in environments like this, but I would like to think that my love for Mrs. Stackpole will help me power through any social awkwardness I might encounter here.
And spiritual awkwardness? For example, if you were to come across demonic influences, ghosts. Has Mrs. Stackpole talked to you about the recent events in her home?
He says, "My goodness, you do speak of such horrible things." I suppose that's more of this wounded knight business.
Again, I am the spiritual leader of this community, and these things are my job to speak of.
He quite suddenly takes your hands, and Gainsborough reacts in a kind of a funny way at that. And he says, "I have something to confess to you. Will you hear my confession?"
Of course, dear man.
Dr. Clarkson says, "So what is this information you have, Marshall?"
Not to put too fine a point on it, Dr. Clarkson, or should I say Mr. Clarkson. We know just what it is you're up to. We know just what it was you were up to over in El Paso del Norte. And I should remind you that the Virales and I have a good working relationship. I'm sure they'd be most interested to know the information I have about your activities there.
Funny, I
Mr.
thought they were
Clarkson,
more interested in finding out what happened to their commander, who has gone missing.
Indeed, but they are, like myself, men of the law.
Mm.
So
Mr.
Mr. Slade
Slade
and I are here to encourage you to move along from El Paso.
is Mr. Slade with his various and sundered limbs going to be the one to make me move along, Marshal? Is he your muscle today?
Oh,
You
Mr.
would not,
Clarkson, I'm quite prepared to be my own muscle.
you would not like it were I to assist.
Well, I think we should all just put all our cards on the table then. You talk a big game, but what evidence of malfeasance on my part do you actually have?
Let me see now. We have fulsome evidence that your ghost begone is nothing but snake oil. We know that you, however, have been imprisoning and using spirits to perform all manner of illegal activity for you, up to and including the murder of the husband of your paramour.
Slade, down the street, you see a single shaft of golden light. The mysterious woman in gold, who appears at the most inopportune of times, is standing down the way, and she has a benevolent smile on her face. And you see, coming around the corner, the boy, Henry Short. Barkeep, the new customer, Amanda. The bartender pours a beer and shaves the foam off the top expertly, showing this currently sober patron that the bar is honest for now. What about the new customer shows he has money he will soon be parted with?
Barkeep is very accustomed to keeping an eye on all of the patrons of the bar and picking out little details about them. She's just a really good people person. And she recognizes right off the bat that this new customer is clearly new to town, probably traveling around, probably from a larger city, perhaps overseas. And they are well dressed, especially compared to the other patrons of the bar who are a little bit more rough and tumble. Flashes, probably accidentally, a little money clip when pulling out money to pay for the drink. Then there's a pretty fat wad of cash in there. While they are paying for their drink, she notices some people playing cards in the corner, spotting this poor Mark. She doesn't allow cheating at in the establishment because it's going to look poorly upon the saloon, which of course is going to look poorly on her. But I mean, you can't really blame a group of card players for um, marking a mark, somebody that they can very easily play money against. And she knows that if she keeps feeding this young person from out of town drinks, maybe watering them down after a little bit of time, there's a bunch of that money in that wad of cash that'll be coming her way.
Jonathan says, my confession is that I too easily fall in love. It causes me to do things that I regret. And I wonder if it's because all of my past loves, my enthusiasms, my passions, they have been with women who are trifling, who are spiritually empty, who don't have substance. I can tell by sitting here with you now that you are a woman of substance.
Or perhaps you are just flighty.
Well, perhaps. I certainly confess that I have a certain well, I've lived a privileged life. I've never had to make difficult decisions. I've never had to want or worry. I have had the privilege of being able to think on matters of love, matters of philosophy, matters of spirituality. I don't know much, but I know that we were meant to meet on the road tonight.
Perhaps, young man, what your heart is really looking for is a more romanticized love. Perhaps unrequited love is something that you could take upon yourself and learn from and bask in, not just spiritually, but emotionally and poetically.
That sounds a bit tedious, to be quite frank, but you may have a point. Can we pray?
She's gonna reach into her pocket, pull out like an old rosary, and just hand it to him. Making his hands, like letting go of his hands while she does it. Yes, I say do 10 Hail Marys and 50 Our Fathers.
Won't you pray with me, though? Here, before we get to Mrs. Stackpole's. I'm sure your hound won't mind.
What's Gainsborough doing?
Looking really, really, like, antsy and uncomfortable.
Yeah. I do believe that my dog needs to, well, get some sort of natural relief out in a bush somewhere. So I believe I will be leaving you to pray on your own in solitude, just you and God together.
And before you can get out of the carriage, he says, No. No. You can't leave. I think I love you.
Ah, that unrequited love we spoke of. This is the perfect moment.
Marshall, Travis, Sidewinder Kid. Slade, you see the golden light. I don't think Travis is aware of it yet. You see Henry Short coming down the way. What do you do?
I don't think I've had any interactions with Henry Short.
No,
but,
he's just the bugle boy. Yeah.
I think Slade will start moving toward that light, thinking this might be trouble to head off at the pass.
Yeah. You go towards the light and you see the lady in gold. She's just standing there. Nobody else seems to notice her, but you can see her. She says, Hello, little cousin.
Slade will kind of subtly tip his hat and say, we need no further trouble this evening.
There's nothing that's going to happen here tonight that isn't Providence, cousin. I am not the maker of decisions. I am the implementer once the decision is made. I think you have an understanding of what that's like, don't you?
I believe you have me at a disadvantage, as they say.
Yes. Well, you frequently find yourself in such a state, don't you, cousin?
Lately, more than ever.
She's looking at your arm and your leg. She says, You should really consider a different vessel.
I should. Alas, I find myself attached to this one.
Back down at the wagon, Henry Short approaches the wagon, you and Dr. Clarkson, Travis. He's got a gun that looks way too big for a kid so small. And he says, "She told me this is what you would do. She said you'd come. You'd try to cause trouble for Dr. Clarkson. She
Now,
said,
son, I think you better put that gun down. Who's this she you was talking about?
Dr. Clarkson's on side about this. He says, Henry, the marshal and I have this under control. You don't need to do anything." And Henry says, No. She said I had to do it. She said I had no choice. She said I was put on the path. She said I'd find you here. That you'd be trying to take away the one good thing that ever happened to me. And he hasn't drawn the gun yet, but he's got his hand on it. Back
If you're
with the lady.
talking about who I'm thinking about, son, you should know that she's touched me too, and you can't draw faster than I can. This ain't gonna end well.
Can Slade start approaching?
It almost doesn't matter because she's put the boy in his path.
Oh, yes, but Slade just needs to put his hand on the boy's shoulder.
Right. Before you go, the lady in gold says, if you intervene, you will mess up everything for your friend. He has to make the decision himself.
I aim to protect my friend. If protecting him means removing this decision from his hands, I shall.
Barkeep, tarnation, surly customer again. The surly customer, when the bartender cuts him off, how does the bar make sure the surly customer pays every penny he owes?
As the man becomes clear that he's going to be a problem, that he is getting upset, the barkeep's song will start introducing what seems like fun little jabs at what she'll do to make him pay. But as the night goes on and he gets angrier, the themes get darker, the threats get more real, and she is clearly not going to take him not paying. And the rest of the bar joins in.
Jonathan looks out the window of the carriage. And he says, I wish you the best of luck. I hope we encounter each other again. Just know, somewhere out there, a heart is beating. It beats for you.
I take it that means you are going to be turning around and not visiting Mrs. Stackpole.
He says, I am the sort of person who contains boundless amounts of love. And the carriage proceeds down the road.
I must admit, Mr. Jonathan, this level of infatuation is rather on the ugly side,
Oh,
spiritually
wait, to be
speaking.
clear, did you get out of the carriage?
I think I was going to get
Oh,
out,
you
but I
didn't
feel
actually
like
get
he's
out.
just,
Okay.
yeah, I feel like he's
Yeah.
still moving.
Okay, good. Yeah, all right. In that
Yeah.
case, yeah, he says that, and the carriage just keeps going.
Yeah.
So yeah, continue. Sorry.
I believe that there's a very ugly side to your infatuation, spiritually speaking. If you are so flighty with your love and emotions that you can turn it on and off, then how flighty are you with your love for God and your like the word I'm looking for here, adherence to his word?
He says, well, that's what faith is, right? It's a test.
And I do believe you're failing it. I believe that you should stop this carriage now. I will get out with my dog. And you turn around and go back to London or wherever you came from. And don't get involved in the matters of El Paso.
And the carriage stops. And he says, I shall take your words to heart.
I think she just gets out without a word.
Henry Short, per your move, that cursed mission. This didn't really happen in the phase appropriate way it's supposed to, but nevertheless, the lady in gold has put the boy in your path. Slade can intervene and take the decision out of your hands.
I think Slade would approach the boy from behind and lean forward and whisper something in his ear before just laying a hand on the boy's shoulder.
The boy's death is peaceful. A single tear rolls down his cheek. He drops the gun on the ground. And then he just slumps down to the ground. Dr. Clarkson turns and gives you a hard look. Travis. He says, I think I'm going to take your advice, Marshal, and get out of here. I think this town is cursed, and it's not because of the Wounded Knight. You think the work you do here is to help these people, but I know the truth of it. The work you do, no. You just perpetuate violence. And he closes up his wagon. I think he picks up the boy's body. He says, he always wanted to get out of here. He always wanted to travel. I promised to take him with me to the next town. I suppose I can at least fulfill that part of it.
Slade will look at the man and say, "Do as you will. He is no longer of this place."
What are you?
One day, Dr. Clarkson, you will know.
I think that'll conclude the threat and the phase. Let's go to the dawn. Rewards. Let's take a look at rewards for Ghosts Be Gone. I'll drop the image into the chat and I'll read it for 1 second. I'll read it to read it out loud for people watching the video. The first one is if you convinced him to work with you, but you didn't do that, so that won't be a reward that you can access. However, you can get a bottle of Ghost Be Gone if you want. An improvised ghost trap, or a memento from the investigation.
I will take a memento if Travis wants to think of what it is.
I think you, Sister Mary, get the pistol that the bugle boy was carrying at the end there, that he dropped on the ground when Slade took his life.
Awesome.
I will also take a memento, I think, and I will let Mr. Slade decide what the nature of that is.
Could the memento be Dr. Clarkson's bound ghost?
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I will take the ghost trap.
Very good. Continuing on. Dawn questions. You did answer a question and resolve a threat, so you both get, or you all get both of those. Let's do echoes in the night. Travis, did you get an echo in the night?
I did not.
Sister Mary.
Kind of. I just said that the newcomer at the bar was like a newcomer to town, sort of like how Jonathan was a newcomer to town.
Oh.
It was not really an echo so much as just playing along with whatever the prompt said. So I don't have to get that one.
Okay, fair enough. Slade.
I was going with the threats in the song echoing Slade's threat to Dr.
Yeah.
Clarkson.
Good. Okay. Sidewinder Kid, did you test to see if your reputation is spreading without naming yourself?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you show off with a firearm?
I mean, I did shoot the blue boy.
That's
that counts
true.
as showing off.
I don't know if it was really showing off. It's
it was like, really good aim.
It's just killing one little kid instead of another little kid. Sister Mary, did you try to convince someone to do the right thing?
I was trying to get Jonathan to not be such a weirdo.
Did you speak on matters of theology with anybody who would listen?
Well, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And of course, not that I don't think Sister Mary is like against polyam style relationships. Just, you know, with Mrs. Stackwell, absolutely, yeah. And with her, don't flirt with her.
Slade, did you express a clear preference for the night over the day?
No.
did you puzzle over the human condition?
Very briefly, he doesn't understand why people are so concerned what happens to a body.
Remind me, when was that?
He doesn't know why. Didn't know why Dr. Clarkson would want to take the child's body anywhere. He has departed.
Oh. I don't know if it really came through so much.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know if it felt salient. Let's go to, you can mark your Dawn questions if you wish. We don't have any playbook or custom moves that I'm aware of. And do we have any Janus Mask? No? Okay. Well, then that concludes the session. Let's go to Stars and Wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I want to give a star to Slade for that intervention at the end. Travis did not intend to kill the boy, and therefore would have activated the playbook threat. But I think, yeah, Slade's intervention is kind of even more taking the decision out of Travis's hands is maybe even more dramatic. So that was a fun twist. I really enjoyed Sister Mary and Jonathan's interactions. That was very I don't know what the word is, but yeah, he was a good foil for her personality.
I kept throwing in like
piousness.
heart references.
And yeah, now we have a dog. That's got to be a star.
I also really liked the whole interaction with Travis and Slade at the end with Henry Short. I thought that was really a really interesting dynamic and scene that was happening, with this little kid, and Travis is not going to want to shoot another little kid. It's different with the blue boy because we know that he's not a kid, and I think that it's going to be really, and this, I guess, it's kind of a wish. I'm excited for the fallout or whatever is going to happen with Travis and Slade after that, with Slade taking that out of Travis's hands and killing this kid with a touch that Travis saw. I think that's going to be really interesting what's going to happen next. I love all the stuff with the dog. I'm really excited. I was making jokes about how Jason was like, "What do you want to do today?" And I'm like, "I want to take a dog for the walk, or take the dog for a walk." And you're like, "What do you want to do in the night phase?" I'm like, "I want to take the dog for a walk." So pretty excited about having a dog. I really like that. I liked Jonathan. He was just so frustrating to interact with, and I mean that in like a good way, of course. Just this character, like how do you talk to somebody like this, who's just so infatuated with being infatuated, really. Gave me kind of Julius vibes a little bit too, which is always fun. I really liked how creepy the blue boy was during the day phase. Before this, the blue boy's already been creepy, like in a creepy Victorian spooky kid way, but this really pushed the blue boy, this section, Jason, you really pushed the blue boy into this horrifying realm rather than just creepy realm, and I really liked that. I don't know if I have any other notes that I wrote down. I was too busy being excited about the dog. I know what my priorities are.
As well as everyone else, I also noted Gainsborough as a big star. And the scene with Jonathan was it was really fun to be in the audience for. Also, I really enjoyed Travis just shooting the blue boy, and then the blue boy getting his little monologue out before collapsing dramatically. It was a very cute way for him to go out. A wish, yeah, I want to see the fallout between Travis and Slade. And yeah, now that Slade has seen the lady in gold, maybe maybe a little bit more there. Everyone's calling him cousin or sibling. Like he needs to meet the rest of the family, I guess.
Indeed. Stars, I also really enjoyed the scene with between Jonathan and Sister Mary. It was very fun to role play. It was fun to role play. This is the first time that I think in probably all the between games I've ever run, this is the first time where the hunters took direct action to like kill a threat, but because of the rules of the game, the threat is not resolved. And so it's like, what does that mean? And so it's the first time I've actually had to do that. And so that was interesting. Like to it's like, okay, yes, you shot the blue boy. Okay, yes, he looks like he died, but of course he can't be done. And so what is that? So, think of something to happen now, and I think kind of tying it onto this like idea of like a strange, like kind of love obsessed sort of entity is a fun thing to do. And it's a kind of entity that kind of like, it seems like it knows exactly how to push Alma Stackpole's buttons, like it knows what to do, which makes a lot of sense given that we know that there's a history even before this Wounded Knight between the entity and Mrs. Stackpole. So that sort of implied history is really it lends like a real like palpable sadness to Alma Stackpole as a character, and it makes this whole situation have like a kind of just kind of a sort of morose Groundhog Day quality, so I'm really, really into it. Love the whole sequence with Dr. Clarkson. Just the stuff with Henry Short was great, and the Lady in Gold, and just some of the decisions that were being made there. I really liked all that. It was just really good fun to kind of see it play out the way it played out. And yeah, my wish is I do think that there has to be some kind of confrontation between Travis and Slade, because Dr. Clarkson made it super clear that like, oh, what are you? Like, you clearly just did something. Like, there's kind of no getting away from that now, so I'll be curious to see how that plays out.
And also Travis didn't intend to kill the boy, so the fact that Slade stepped in and did it, yeah, I definitely intend that to be a confrontation.
Yeah, I think it has to be dealt with. And I'm also, another wish is I am really curious to see what happens with Jonathan and Mrs. Stackpole, and kind of just want to see how that is all shaping up and what it means for the resolution of the threat. So yeah, it'll be good times. Any other stars or wishes? Okay, well, in that case, I'm gonna wave goodbye to video watcher.